we're live though.
Yeah, okay. Are we live?
Yeah.
No, I see. Okay, great. We're live. Good afternoon, everybody. We're getting our act together here. We want to welcome you to the first day of spring. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the first day of spring. Congratulations. We got through another winter from here on in for the for the next 6 months. Days they be getting longer, and then they're going to start getting shorter in September. But it's going to be a great summer. We're looking forward to up here in beautiful British Columbia. Unfortunately, for everybody that doesn't live in the beautiful Kootenays here in southeastern British Columbia, you couldn't come up here and enjoy the glaciers, the lakes, the mountain biking. Uh, the city of Nelson has more restaurants per capita than the um, city of New York City. There you go. So, yeah, you come on up. I got free camping at my place. Parking costs $50, but no, I'm just kidding. You're all welcome, all 8 of you that are listening. I don't know if there's 8 million listening. I don't know. I may have to clear that with Canada immigration, but you can come up and stay. And I highly recommend vacationing in British Columbia this year. Got some great festivals coming up. We got the Caslo British Columbia Jazz Etc. Festival, which is featuring a very gifted pianist who's been playing live music for going on 60 years now. He's almost become famous about 5 or 6 times, and he's still trying. And I know him personally. I wake up with him every day, and he's okay. So you want to check that out. Um, see if we're on YouTube. Yes, we are. We're on YouTube this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
January
We
23rd.
are on, I believe we're on D Live. I can see the Canuck sitting there. You're looking all right there. I mean, not the Yankee. You're looking all right, Yankee. Did you go to the hairdresser or something?
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm paid to compliment you, by the way.
Yeah.
It's part of my writer. Um, well, you see, the Yankee needs positive reinforcement. Um, I mean, most people do, but he's under a lot of pressure right now, and because he's actually the crypto knight, and it's a lot of responsibility. He's in charge of everything that's crypto. Not in charge, but he's aware, so he has to be in charge. And how's that all going, Yankee? Your show? You still doing that?
Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
I'm not
what's
sure
your
about tomorrow. Might have to move the show later in the week.
I
Early
see.
part of this week is going to be hectic.
Well, it's gotten pretty dynamic with the whole crypto thing. It's even gotten normal people's attention. Truck drivers here in Canada, and it seems like everybody's playing a different hand at the same game. It's like a card game where there's all kinds of different decks of cards, Ethereum and Bitcoin and Doggy, and some people are just inventing their own, like China. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Well, today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is about drugs. Now, everybody does drugs. But I mean, usually people think of drugs as, a bunch of hippies and misfits and stuff like that. And of course, they don't count alcohol as a drug or cigarettes as a drug because they're legal. And they also have, it's gotten to the point where they also don't count opioids like Oxycontin as drugs in a way because they're legal. And this has led to an opioid crisis, they call it. And the long and short of it is that people, perfectly normal, for want of a better term, straight people, went to the doctor and got a whole bunch of scripts. And then maybe this doctor said, well, you're all cured now, and the heck with you. You're not getting it no more. Um, so they go out on the streets and get bad stuff, if you feel me on that. So I don't know if we're ready to play a couple videos or not. Look at the show notes here. Let's see what's on
Uh,
deck.
hold on a second.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. So we're Yankee's just he's in charge of the broadcast center, so he's just posting, I think, to um, the social media platforms, and we're going to be going over that a bit today too. Just an overview, please, of the social media situation, because I believe that next week or the week after we're going to be going in the deep end with the social media situation and the meta situation and all the rest of it. But we're going to touch on it today. It's kind of a promo lead up overview, social media 101. Um, so that's the ticket there. Um,
All right, so we're gonna switch over to.
La Media View.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you all for watching. And like I say, it's the first day of spring, which is the equinox. I think it's the vernal equinox. I'm not sure.
Oh, there is
Okay.
an issue here, isn't
There's
there?
there's the infamous show notes there for you. You all
All right, so
want to
now
be
it's running. We had scheduled. I used Restream.io to schedule today's show
mhm.
so that it would post to YouTube and any platforms that support that. So, but it looks like
I
it's
see.
all right. So it looks like we're up and running.
I've been seeing it on YouTube. I got YouTube. I got D Live. We're on D Live. We're on YouTube. Um, and we're not on drugs. Well, maybe we are. Maybe life is a drug. I don't know. So yeah, looking at the show notes here, which you're all welcome to go to variant-news.com. Click on today's show, and there's all the links that we use. Very educational. Tell your kids, tell your friends. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll forget something. Who knows? So, all right.
I'm gonna post today's show notes.
Yeah, they're posted at variantnews-news.com.
They're in
I'm
the
looking at
chat.
them right now.
Should be on all the platforms now.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
was going to
let's
try to stream to Telegram. I guess it's not going to work. But so we're going to do a 30-minute segment on legalized addiction.
Yippee.
And I'm going to start it off with this dispensing rate map that I found, which I think is pretty informative. So let's load that up. And so this is U.S. opioid dispensing rate maps. The data in the maps show the geographic distribution in the United States at both state and county levels of retail opioid prescriptions dispensed per 100 persons per year from 2006 to 2020. 2012 was when it peaked, where we hit 81.3 prescriptions per 100 persons. And then the lawsuits, all that, really got, and the issue itself really came into the public eye. Johnson & Johnson got sued. A lot of the big pharma companies had massive fines assessed, and then it has declined to, well, we'll see it in the graph, but it declined to 2020 to around 43 prescriptions per 100 people. It's still pretty high, but at least
that's a lot.
At least it's going down, and but there's still obviously a lot more work to do.
Yeah, but like I was saying at the top of the show, Yankee, excuse me, but the amount of prescription drugs is going down, but the amount of people that are out on the streets now getting illegal drugs is I'm sure, going up. So yeah, go on.
Well, I'm just letting the map run. I'll run a couple times here, but just shows the progression from 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here it starts to reset. It starts at 2006. Yeah, these southern states really hit hard, well above 107 in some of these states with these dark red. It really goes up across the board, across a lot of states until we hit 2012.
2007.
2012
Holy
was the big year.
Look at, hang on, over there. 2009, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona in the west. And then it starts getting smaller. Very interesting. But like I say, that's the amount of prescription. But also, that's about the time that they started getting sued a lot too, right?
Yeah, leading up to 2012. Yeah. It started. They started taking these big pharma companies to court.
Right. And that's from the CDC, so that's pretty good. That's the government.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that the Alaska's here. It never changes. Alaska stays under 64 prescriptions per 100 persons the whole time from 2006 to 2020.
Figures.
Well, actually, there we go. In 2007, it increases slightly up to 64 to 82.
That was the peak. Yeah, 2007 was the peak 5 years ago. But it's still an ongoing problem, like we're saying. So,
and then it went back down in 2013. But just gives a visual representation of the opioid prescription issue.
Yep.
In the United States. Moving on, what else do we have? We have we've got some videos. Some of the good chunk of these links are videos.
Yeah, but just play the first minute and a half of this one. It's 3 years old, but it goes back criticizing the Canadian government for not taking earlier action upon the situation with the legal opioids. And then we've got another.
Some big news this week for the.
We're doing
CBC.
Are we doing from what? Are we doing from the beginning of the video?
Yeah, beginning to about a minute and a half.
Thousands of people exposed to the opioid crisis. A doctor and former addict has launched a proposed billion-dollar class action suit against some of the biggest drug makers in Canada. And that's not all. For the first time, Health Canada now says it is considering taking action too. In a statement to The Weekly this week, it says, the Government of Canada has not closed the door on taking legal action against opioid manufacturers for past inappropriate marketing practices. The proposed suit from the doctor alleges 28 drug companies, including Purdue Pharmaceutical and Apotex, engaged in a pattern of false, reckless, and deceptive marketing. It claims drug makers recommended opioids for minor injuries when anti-inflammatories would have been more effective, and failed to warn doctors and the public about the risks of addiction. Dr. Daryl Gebian, he is the lead plaintiff in this case, and he became addicted to opioids when he took Percocet for a minor sports injury. Then those pills quickly led to a full-blown addiction that destroyed his life.
I still don't appreciate how close to dying I came. My wife, ex-wife, now she does. She found me in a shower stall with the water not running and passed out, green, not breathing.
Yeah, it's mostly testimonials
basically breath
from here.
steps away from dying.
All right. We've got the crime of the century. You want to move on to that one?
Yep. That's YouTube.
I came out of the dock.
75.
So this is just a trailer, right? But
yeah, I think so.
It's short.
It's short.
And there was a representative of Purdue. She said, we have a drug called OxyContin. We pick up all the costs. Just take as much as you need. I said, sounds like a deal.
Within the last 20 years, more than 500,000 Americans have been killed by overdoses. Controlled-release OxyContin would be the drug that triggered the opioid crisis. But what if we discovered that the crisis started with a crime?
When we talk about drugs like oxycodone, you're talking about drugs that are essentially heroin pills. Opioid makers started to promote their opioids for common chronic pain conditions.
Purdue didn't have any evidence that the drug was safe, so the company obtained the help of a medical officer at FDA.
This is the first time I've ever seen this. This isn't just unethical. I think this could be illegal.
Hundreds and hundreds of sales reps go out and meet with doctors and say, the FDA approved this.
Big Pharma celebrated its marketing muscle, using parties to lure doctors to write scripts.
This was a new drug cartel. There were drug dealers wearing suits and lab coats.
Basically, here's some money, write some scripts.
Yes, I'm looking at this and I'm going, clearly we're breaking the law.
Purdue ends up getting pursued by the authorities. The company lied under oath.
Ethics did not play a role.
The companies took out their checkbooks and paid to keep the evidence hidden.
You are basically telling pharmaceutical companies you have a green light to do this.
It explains how America got hooked on opioids.
Doctors willing to be paid to prescribe the drug, those are the people that are gonna get you promoted and eventually put you in prison.
The abuse exploded and spread like cancer.
When you're in that much pain and you're addicted to such a high dose, you're a trap rat.
When the companies didn't like that they were being held accountable, they decided to change the statute.
They should be changing their behaviors, not the rules.
People were dying by the tens of thousands, and their own representatives are basically selling them down the river.
If you talk to people whose lives have been touched, what does matter to a lot of these people is truth.
So that was
wow.
That was posted last year, April 20th.
Yeah.
So that's when that came out. The HBO documentary. I've never seen the HBO documentary.
I haven't. But, I don't have HBO, but yeah, it looks pretty darn powerful from the trailer. It looks like they're going deep.
That.
And you would notice that laying the blame with the House of Representative people, the legislatures tours. That's where the lobbyists come in. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars on lobbyists to get these guys in their pockets. There's one more video if you want to play it just for 2 minutes. I believe that's a YouTube Democracy Now! One of your favorite. Yeah, Amy Goodman. Actually, she knows me. I was featured on a show of hers. Believe it or not.
This is democracy.
So this is 29 minutes. Do you? I can't remember if.
This is the JEE. Yeah, but just play 2 minutes of it. It's just her intro. That's all you need.
Democracy Now, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
2 minutes is enough.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says U.S. drug overdose deaths skyrocketed to a recent 93,000 last year, a nearly 30% increase. That's the largest one-year increase ever recorded. Overdoses rose in 48 of 50 states. Opioid overdoses accounted for nearly 2/3 of the deaths, driven in part by synthetic opioids like fentanyl, which is 50 times stronger than heroin. Overall, drug overdoses accounted for more deaths in 2020 than car crashes, gun violence, and HIV/AIDS combined. This comes as the nation continues to deal with the fallout from the devastating opioid epidemic that has killed over 500,000 people in the United States since 1999. 15 states recently agreed to abandon their fight to block the bankruptcy plan of Purdue Pharma, the maker of the highly addictive OxyContin. In exchange, Purdue will release tens of millions of documents and pay a settlement expected to reach $4.5 billion. The owners of Purdue, the Sackler family, will agree to cede ownership of Purdue, but will not have to admit responsibility for their role in fueling the opioid epidemic. They'll also be shielded from future opioid lawsuits. Meanwhile, closing arguments will be held next week in a closely watched federal trial in West Virginia against the nation's 3 largest drug distributors. We turn now to a stunning 2-part documentary directed by Alex Gibney about Big Pharma's role in driving the opioid crisis. It's called The Crime of the Century.
So yeah, that's going back to the HBO original documentary.
Yeah, I just thought she, she kind of summed it up. She summed it up pretty good. Um, she's actually a nice person. I met her almost at Levon Helm's place. Long story there. And then I was featured on a show, all to do with that festival thing that I worked at. Remember that we talked about Woodstock? I think they called it. You
Yeah.
probably never heard of it. It was just a small festival in a farmer's field. We had a couple bands. Okay, back to the show notes.
So we got another link here. The Council of Canadians. The big questions. Big Pharma.
Yep. Big Council of Canadians. Is that the .org one? Yeah. Okay.
So this
and
is
I'm
kind
just
of
going to read some. I'm going to read just a really quick clip of this. Are you ready for this? Only a little bit. The pandemic has revealed the undue influence of large multinational pharmaceutical companies and their lobbyists have over our governments and our lives. This is Canada. Whether it's in their efforts to thwart a much needed universal pharmacare program or the obstacles they pose to the equitable global distribution of COVID 19, which is a side story, I suppose. But we have our medicals paid for here, but not our drugs. Okay, quick excerpt from the next link, which is HSP Harvard University. A nice place there near you, isn't it, Yankee? Harvard? It's just up there in Boston.
Yeah,
that's close.
Not too far away.
Okay, just once again, quickly, without urgent intervention, 1.2 million people in the United States and Canada will die from opioid overdoses by the end of this decade, in addition to the more than 600,000 who have died since 1999. According to a February 2nd report from the Stanford Lucent Commission on the North American Opioid Crisis. Okie dokie. Next one's out of Forbes. Got a little bit more here. Same kind of statistics, basically, but they go on to say wealthy countries, especially the U.S., where many major opioid manufacturers are based, have a duty to prevent the opioid epidemic expanding to the world. Of course they do, but they're not going to, I'm sure. Yeah, we haven't even gone into what they've done in the rest of the world. Exporting aggressive practices when domestic regulations tighten. So what they're alluding to here is that Purdue's just going to start selling this stuff to the rest of the world since they're getting shut down here. And it says it's similar to what the tobacco industry did when stricter regulations came in the United States. Apparently, they started pushing their product everywhere. This is kind of interesting. The opioid crisis has evolved in at least three distinct waves over the several decades, the report says, stating the introduction of powerful opioids like Oxycontin in the 1990s, progressing towards street drugs. First heroin, later synthetic drugs like fentanyl. Around 2010, as traffickers marketed the cheaper substances to those addicted to prescription opioids. That's what I'm trying to get to, or we're trying to get to. You start out with legal stuff, then they go to the street. There's no single cause driving the crisis. Of course, there isn't. Report made blah 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 blah. The commission criticized drug manufacturers like Purdue Pharmaceutical, Johnson & Johnson, for aggressively misleading marketing and other stuff that we already talked about. Commission also criticized medical training that does not equip professionals to adequately manage or prevent addiction, and how the criminal justice system manages addiction and addiction related crimes. Yes. Out of the Star in Toronto, we have Purdue Pharma, maker Oxycontin, paid Canadian doctors directly, the doctors, nearly 3.5 times more money than it doled out to U.S. prescribers. Now, this is where it comes in that your American companies going to foreign countries with the same scheme. $2 million to Canadian healthcare professionals in 2016. Such as consulting and delivering speeches on conditions and treatments. In other words, they pay them, they come down and will pay you $10,000 to give a speech, and that's the way they can launder the money. Purdue spent more than 4 times as much per Canadian physician, which shattered the myth that we're not exposed to the same level of graffiti marketing tactics in the U.S., according to a professor of law and bioethics at the University of Toronto. Um, in February, Purdue announced that its sales rep no longer promote opioids. Yeah, right. Instead, Purdue's residents and all its Canadian promotion must be via. Yeah, right. Close the door after the fucking barns burned down. Choosing not to discontinue promotion of opioids to Canadians would be a flagrant act of blah, 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 blah. Purdue is one of 10 brand name pharmaceutical companies to voluntarily disclose aggravated payments they made to healthcare professionals in 2016. Company also gave out $1 million to healthcare organizations. And the report does not say who got the money. Okay, there's a video in this, there's a YouTube video. It's originally produced by the New York Times. And oh, let me show notes.
What is this? The Harvard? No.
No, it's YouTube watch equal 38S. I'm not sure if it's in there or not. Anyway, the article from the New York Times, it lays blame upon the pharmacies as well, including CVS Health, Walmart, and Walgreens. Contributed to the crisis of opioid overdoses and death in 2 Iowa counties, which took them to court. And so that lays the blame, and they got a judgment against Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, according to lawyers for the 2 counties. Judgment today against Walgreens, Walmart, and CVS represent an overdue reckoning with their complicity of creating public nuisance. Yes, okie dokie. Of course, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart said they will appeal the verdict. Pharmacists fill legal prescriptions written by the DEA licensed doctors who prescribe legal FDA approved substances to treat actual patients in need, says CVS. So they're washing their hands of it completely. And that's all I have. I think you might have some other stuff going on here or not. I'm not sure. But that's, the long and short of it. Oh, we did exactly a half hour like we were supposed to. Good Lord, we're getting our act together. So basically, bottom line is, now my mother died, we're quite sure, of drug overdose. My mother was, and she wasn't a total teetotaler like her mother was, anti-alcohol, prohibition, and all that. But she drank a little bit. She was liberal enough. And of course, she didn't do any other drugs. She certainly wasn't kind of hippie or nothing. But she, being in pain, she really trusted doctors. And she was in the United States, California. We're talking about 2005. And so she gets scripts from one doctor, then go to another doctor, it turned out, and get another script and go to another script because after she died, my dad and I were cleaning out her medicine cabinet, and I would say there was about $2,500 worth of drugs on street value, all different ones. So she was self-medicating. But what the point I'm trying to get to on this is she didn't see herself as a drug user. I mean, she would never consider herself, and certainly not a drug addict. I mean, she would not envision that. So it's a trap, and that's why the Yankee calls it dope on a rope, because they rope you in. Is that the premise behind your?
Yeah. Yeah, they keep roping you in.
Roping you in. So it's a serious crisis and the heartbreak, people. I mean, I cover, I'm working on ongoing thing about the people on the streets because I used to be on the streets too. I know what it's like, and a lot of them are addicted, and a number of them are probably addicted from. And I know people that were, say they broke their leg and they started doing the drugs, and then now technically, if you are in pain, according to research, and you do a drug, it's supposed to cancel out the adverse effects, but the Oxycontin, I think, was pretty powerful, wasn't it? I mean, I never did it, but like you get a pretty good buzz off an Oxycontin pill, wouldn't you? Or I mean, was it fairly potent drug?
Yeah. I mean, it's synthetic opioid. It's it's highly addictive, and it's not up at the levels of fentanyl. So fentanyl is about 100 times more potent than morphine. I would say that Oxycontin, I think, is probably 7 to 10 times as potent as morphine.
No, that's ridiculous, dude. That's just not fair. I mean, I grew up in New York, and some of my friends became addicted to heroin, and there was a whole culture in it. And we are going to, hey, right on, we got a viewer here.
You've got Bearskin 067 in the chat with the thumbs up.
You're in the house, brother. Yeah, we're talking about drugs today, dude. If you just tuned in, illegal drugs. We're going to cover illegal drugs. But, you know, the media covers illegal drugs a lot. It shows about cartels and mafia guys. But this one, you know, they make mention of it. But, you know, considering 500,000 Americans have died, like, that's a lot of friggin' people, man. That's like more than almost as much as COVID. And a lot. Amy said that more people died of overdoses than auto accidents in 2020. Like, give me a break. So what's your takeaway on all this, Yankee? Are they going to, is it good? Like, are they dealing with the people that are strung out? Or are they just throwing them out on the street to fend for themselves?
Well, yeah. I mean, the big problem is that, you know, once people, and this happened in the United States, especially in like states like West Virginia, coal miners, doctors gave them scripts for Oxycontin for injuries on the job.
Yeah.
You know, and then they stopped issuing the scripts, and then went to illegal opioids on the streets, and now in the past 10 years, fentanyl, which is 100 times more potent than morphine, we're getting flooded with that.
So it's pretty. What you're saying is it's pretty bad down there.
And
I mean, is it just in the big cities, or do you find it happening in the smaller communities?
It's happening rural and big cities.
Yeah, same here.
And the federal government, states still criminalize the possession of it, opioids. It's the same thing, well, at least at the federal level, that we'll be going over in the next story with marijuana. But
yeah,
you know, Johnson & Johnson was the only company that I'm aware of that has now been forbidden from producing opioids. The rest of them, it looks like they're just getting fined, and we'll still be able to continue to distribute. We got the real Sour D. We got Sour D on YouTube and Twitch. So he's in the chat all over the place. Springtime in the Rossi.
Yeah, I meant to say Rockies.
In the Rockies.
Sorry about that.
But anyway,
it's springtime in the Rockies here, people.
Say hello.
I live in the
Sour
Rocky
D.
Mountains. Yeah.
Sour D,
it's
a long time
springtime
streamer
everywhere.
On D
You know,
Live
the whole
here.
world was this morning at 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. The world was equal for a second. Like everything was equal. And now it's not equal. Our days are getting longer. And all the guys
the Senate, they won't.
they
won't pass anything like Medicare for all, or health care, some kind of universal health care. No. They won't look into fixing health care, but they have in the Senate, in the U.S., passed a bill to try to get rid of finally daylight savings time. So at least they're doing that.
No, they're keeping it. They're keeping it.
Well, no,
Dude,
they're going to stop. You'll stop from switching back and forth.
Regular
there won't be
time.
any more. There won't be any more.
Yeah, but it's going to be
1 hour
permanent
ahead,
daylight.
1 hour back.
permanent daylight saving time. So this year, they're going to give you back the hour that you lost. Next year, if everything goes according to plan, you're going to lose that hour forever. That hour is gone. They are getting rid of an hour. They're just taking an hour and they're going to eliminate it. But 100% of the senators agreed that it was a good idea. Oh, God. Okay, pot.
Anyway, we move
What's
on to
going on?
we'll move on to marijuana regulation. We're going to go to
Yeah.
the sunny, dry state known as California, Southern California precisely. And there's a very interesting story with a sheriff down there.
Yeah, you found it.
I'm gonna load the text link first, and then we'll have a YouTube video from a lawyer, a well-known lawyer on YouTube, which is where I originally found out about this story.
I haven't seen this yet.
This is from KVIA.com. So this is, I guess, ABC local affiliate, Channel 7. But FBI and California sheriff illegally seized marijuana cash belonging to licensed dispensaries. Marijuana dispensaries lawsuit claims. This was posted January 31st of this year, 2022. Federal agents in the Southern California Sheriff's Department engaged in highway robberies after seizing more than $1 million in cash from vehicles transporting funds from marijuana dispensaries to financial institutions during a series of traffic stops last year, a new lawsuit claims. These marijuana dispensaries are forced to deal with cash because marijuana is still illegal at the federal level. So they have to deal with cash. Thus, they've got to be constantly transporting large sums of cash in these trucks. And the sheriff is just coming in, it looks multiple times now, and just seizes the basics of it. The sheriff comes in, seizes the cash from multiple marijuana dispensaries, then ships it up to the federal government. Federal government takes their cut, and because it's still illegal at the federal level, and then they cut a big. I think this sheriff in Southern California gets like 70% of that. So if around $1 million was seized, they're getting somewhere around
that's a really big deal. That's a huge deal because even though states legalized it, Washington, Oregon, California, Connecticut, whatever, it's still illegal on the federal level. So therefore, these people can't get bank accounts. They have to deal in cash, and it leads to stuff like what you're talking about, amongst other things.
So these repeated ongoing stops, searches, and seizures are costly, real, and extremely disruptive to its business. Real has been forced to suspend business operations in the largest county in the United States, San Bernardino County, and has stopped driving through Kansas. The lawsuit says, adding the company has lost customers because of these incidents and hasn't rolled out new services in multiple states because of similar concerns. If these incidents continue to occur, and there's every indication they will, it will threaten Real's business model and its ability to continue providing financial infrastructure for the state legal medical cannabis industry by safely moving cash from business premises into the legal banking system for greater transparency. So we'll be watching this, but yeah, this is, I think California has become a complete mess since legalizing marijuana, both recreationally, medicinally, all that.
California's been a.
You've got.
Hey, I got news for you, buddy. California's been a complete mess
Yeah, it
for
just
a long
continues.
Time.
California continues to implode, especially northern and southern California.
But the malfeasance, I'm sorry, but the malfeasance seems to be at the federal level of not making it legal, and it's really it goes to states' rights, I think. I mean, but there's no movement at all. Biden isn't going to do anything because he ain't going to smoke dope. Maybe your vice president smokes dope, but she isn't doing anything. And I don't think Lindsey Graham's going to get on board. Ted Cruz definitely smokes dope, but I don't think. Well, he does something. He must. That's another story. But there's no action. That's what I'm getting to, and it seems really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're not. They have some long-term plan in place at the federal level to keep coming after marijuana. California is going to be the epicenter of it, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, I think. But people that have started marijuana dispensaries in California, they're not, after paying all the fees and just how corrupt the whole operation is in California, they're barely making money, if and in some cases they're losing money.
Well, the gray market must be doing well. It's doing really well.
So what's happening is that some of these dispensaries in California are then illegally selling on the side to try to survive, because if they play by the rules, they've got to pay all these ridiculous fees, and there's a lot of corruption. It's just extremely dysfunctional, and it's not profitable because the states just comes down too hard on these marijuana dispensaries. So they then resort to illegal operations, because there's still the illegal aspect of the cartels. They're still cartels are not only bringing marijuana in, they're trying to grow it here and all across the West Coast, especially from California up to Oregon and all that.
I've heard even in Oregon, some of the back countries, the cartels have actually, they set up camp and they're armed and everything, and big marijuana growing operations. Well, that's always going to exist. But going back to the legal side of everything, but you've got that YouTube video of the crooked sheriff. That might be.
Well, I'm going to find some places here. Excuse me. Is there a notification coming in? Is that your cell phone? Is that me?
No, it ain't me.
I don't know where that's coming from. Let me see. I think I'm going to have to find where it is.
And then the feds will fight over it in exchange for their 20%.
Yeah, there we go. So I think we could start around here and do a couple minutes. So this is Steve Leto on YouTube. Definitely,
Steve, yeah, he's
definitely
good.
Check him out, because he covers a wide range of legal
I'm subscribed
issues.
to him.
It's like bizarro legal news, really.
Yeah.
Because
check it out. He was, what he's covering today? A gas station got in trouble because they were selling gas too cheap. Okay, so he covers all kinds of different things. All right.
Feds could pursue forfeiture under federal law.
Well worth listening to. He's a lawyer, but he's for real.
Yeah, he's just going over the details in Southern California with his sheriff seizing marijuana dispensary cash trucks.
Which, if the government prevails, they kick back 80% of the money to the sheriff's department under the Justice Department's equitable sharing program. So it's all a scam. Everyone knows this. The sheriff grabs the money and gives it to the feds. And since the feds have got it, the sheriff can say, well, California law says that I can't grab it and keep it, but I didn't grab it and keep it. I gave it to the feds. The feds have got it. And then the feds will fight over it in exchange for their 20%. And then when they win, if they win, they then kick 80% of it back to the sheriff.
Oh, sorry.
And the sheriff can go, it wasn't me. The feds gave it.
Let me switch over. I forgot about that. Sorry.
No problem.
The sheriff can say, well, California law says that I can't grab it and keep it, but I didn't grab it and keep it. I gave it to the feds. The feds have got it. And then the feds will fight over it in exchange for their 20%. And then when they win, if they win, they then kick 80% of it back to the sheriff. And the sheriff can go, it wasn't me. The feds gave me the money. This is one of those games that almost no one buys, except for the people who are making the money off of it. If the government prevails, the sheriff's department gets 80%. The earnings of state licensed marijuana suppliers are not subject to forfeiture under California law. State law does not allow this. So apparently the sheriff is thinking, well, if I seize the money, give it to feds, I'm doing it under federal law. The company, which is represented by the Institute for Justice, argues that San Bernardino County Sheriff has no authority to seize money from businesses that are complying with state law, that the van searches violate the Fourth Amendment, and that the financial motive for the stops makes them inconsistent with due process. And those things that all appear to be quite true, obviously true, but it's got to get litigated. So what happened after the company got robbed a few times, and it's obvious that it's going to keep happening if they keep going to San Bernardino County, they went to a judge and said, can you issue a court order to stop them from stealing our money? And the judge said, I can't do that. And my audience is quite sophisticated and intelligent. And I'll tell you right now that a lot of people, without me saying this, will draw the parallel between this and the hospitals in Wisconsin who went in front of a judge and got a TRO to stop at-will employees from leaving at will. So a TRO gets issued to the hospital, and the TRO got dissolved a couple days later because it was so obviously wrong. And here, a company's going to a judge saying, we keep getting robbed by the sheriff. Can you stop that? And the judge...
Yeah, so that's the basics of it. I'm not sure if this is still in the courts, but
it's probably not uncommon, and it might be too that a lot of the dispensary might be, back in the good old days. I mean, the sheriff's department just say, okay, listen, dude, you either give us $10,000 or we're going to take all 100 of it. So they're on. What's that? The mafia thing, protection. They're paying protection money. But they're going to be vulnerable continually until they can get a bank account. I was the view. I got the view of what's this? The lawyer, Frozen here, and I see that he's got McGill. McGill is one of the best universities in the world, and is located in Montreal, Canada. Thank you very much. So he's wearing a Canadian University T-shirt there.
We'll move on to New York City marijuana regulation, but just want to thank Sour D. So he donated some lemons to the the show here on D-Live. So thank you for that, and for your support.
I'm making lemonade.
Appreciate it.
I'm making lemonade right after the show. Now I got 5 lemons. I can make a batch of lemonade. Add a little bit of Russian vodka. No, I can't use Russian vodka. Okay.
So, out of New York City, we have first New York marijuana sales permits will go to people with previous pot-related convictions. So there has been a lot of convictions of marijuana possession, distribution in New York City, just in the past 10, 20 years. But now with the legalization, finally, these people with prior marijuana convictions are going to be first on the list to get a license before anyone else. I think this video is just do a little bit of this video.
Something a bit different. People with past marijuana convictions are going to be the first to get cannabis retail licenses. Local leaders hope it will right a historical wrong. And News 4's Linda Beccaro is live in Yonkers now with reaction to this plan. Linda.
And Adam, as you said, we now know who could be given the first state licenses to sell marijuana, and it's people who used to sell marijuana when it was illegal.
Recreational marijuana is coming to a store near you, and the first people to get licenses will likely be those convicted of marijuana-related crimes.
We're prioritizing those who've been most impacted and those who will become the backbone of this market moving forward.
Ernesto Castillo is CEO of El Puré Cannabis Company based in Inwood. He's done time for selling marijuana and will be among the first to apply for a license next week.
Been years of persecution, unjust things happening, communities that have just impacted not just me, but relatives.
The state unveiling its plans, trying to right the wrong for decades of enforcement of pot laws in communities of color. Mayor Adams agrees.
We unfairly targeted black and brown communities during the marijuana heavy-handed arrest.
The public will have a say on the plan. Reaction is mixed in Inwood, where Amara Moed is visiting family.
I definitely believe it's a great idea. I feel like everybody should be given the opportunity to excel in the ways that they want to excel.
I'm not agree, if you did something in the past, even though it would be legalized in this time in era.
And State Senate Minority Leader Rob Ort says this proposal prioritizes criminals and drug dealers over law-abiding New Yorkers. Not only are they giving a leg up to those who have broken the law, they're planning to use hundreds of millions in taxpayer dollars to do so.
And that's because...
All right, so we'll have to see how this goes. But, I mean, as we've been saying with California...
Yeah,
it's been a big mess. We'll see how it unfolds in New York. I would imagine
we've got a situation. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I imagine it's going to be similar issue. The license is going to be extremely expensive. It's going to be overregulated. But maybe there's maybe it won't be as bad as California. That's all I can hope for, I guess. But.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always a little bit messier. Here, it's been more seamless because it was legalized on a federal level. I got this out of Justice Canada. Just talk about Canada for a minute and go back to the States if you want. But this is out of the justice.gc.ca. Here's the law. You can have 30 grams of legal cannabis dried or equivalent in non-dried form in public. Share up to 30 grams of legal cannabis with other adults. I didn't realize that. You can share the stuff. Buy dried or fresh cannabis and cannabis oil from a provincially licensed retailer. You can grow from licensed seed or seedlings up to 4 cannabis plants per residence for personal use. You can make cannabis products such as food and drinks at home as long as organic solvents are not used to create concentrated products. Okay, that's the law. Of course, a lot of people do other stuff like grow more than 4 plants. Definitely seeds are kind of freely available on the what we now call the gray market. Now here, what happened is, I'll go over this quick, but each province did have discretion over enacting the legislation from the federal level, and some provinces are a little looser than others. Here in British Columbia, it's controlled by the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch. It's called the Liquor and Licensing Monitoring Private Retail Stores. Private licensed dealers may sell cannabis and cannabis accessories. They can't sell booze, alcohol, and tobacco. Okay. And blah, 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 blah. Everything else is pretty much the same. Now, in British Columbia, you can also possess up to 1,000 grams, 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds of dried non-medical cannabis or its equivalent in a non-public place such as your home. And that's that's how much you could get out of 4 plants. Okay, well, that's a reasonable yield. Now, I like this. In British Columbia, adults 19 plus can generally smoke or vape cannabis in public spaces where tobacco smoking and vaping are allowed. And they brought that in a little bit after the fact. Okay, there's 3 types of producers in Canada. Those who hold a federal license for commercial production, individuals authorized to produce medical cannabis for their own personal use, and individuals authorized to produce cannabis and other medical uses. Okay, those are illegal. Now, it's the same situation here that the private companies have to buy from licensed growers. And when they brought the law in, of course, the big guys got all the business because it cost $100,000 to get a license. So the small growers were not able to. Now, there's ongoing discussion, particularly here in British Columbia, about what we call the craft industry. In other words, it'd be like a small winery makes a particular type of wine. In this case, it's cannabis, and they are able to grow it and market it. That's particularly important here in the Kootenay Mountains of southeastern British Columbia because at one time, I estimated almost 30% of all economic activity was growing illegal marijuana. We are very well suited to growing it. Plus, the bonus is that there are people that have decades of experience in growing it. So that's the situation in Canada. Not much has changed. One other point goes to the California situation or the New York situation. Restitution or forgiveness of past marijuana crimes is still an ongoing situation. They said they were going to do it, but people are still carrying criminal records, to the best of my knowledge, for past offenses because the logic is you broke the law and you shouldn't have done that, even though the law doesn't exist anymore. It's causing a lot of anguish because, for example, you can't go to the United States or you can't go to other countries from Canada, things like that. So that's the situation in Canada, and I know you got a little bit more from the United States of America.
I'm actually going to go over across the states regulation. So
thank you very much. But yeah, all in all, I just sum it up. In the years of legalization, we have not seen a massive increase in marijuana use because people either smoke pot or they don't. The gray market, the price has dropped, I would say, between 50 and 60, even 70%. But apparently, the dispensaries are making money because a lot of people don't want to deal with the gray market. So they just go to the store and buy it, and which is all fine. And by the way, I don't know about the quality of your legal pot, but I have bought legal pot here in Canada because I wanted to try pot. I mean, I did work at Woodstock. I heard people advocated it. Anyhow, it's darn good. I mean, it's really high tech, eh? I mean, this stuff is strong, dude. Yeah. But you got that in Connecticut? Have you bought any? I don't want to pry into your personal drug use.
No, I haven't. I might check something out in New York City, maybe down the road. But
well, you got to be careful. You got to be careful, Tim, because pot is not an addictive substance like OxyContin or something, and you might like it. It might make you feel good. It might make you
right.
Okay, whatever. That's actually a really freaking good drug. And medical use, that should definitely be way more. And we go back to Big Pharma, the theme of our show, and Big Pharma is one of the reasons that it's still illegal on the federal level. They do not want people smoking pot. They want them doing their synthetics and paying a lot of money for it. I mean, definitely for depression, eating disorders, cancer treatment. There's a long list of positive medical uses for marijuana. Okay, what do you got? I got a map. Cool.
You got legalized.
Black states
medical,
are legal. Oh, medical.
These, it's really like a dark green, but anything dark green is legalized. The lighter green is medical and decriminalized. Then there's like a standard green, which is just medical, and decriminalizes the light green, CBD only. So CBD, I guess, oils and related products are legal only. Is the gray, which is like Texas, Michigan. Oh, what's it? Wisconsin, Iowa. Sorry, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. These are all CBD only. I didn't realize that. So those those states right there are just CBD only legal.
And what you mean by that? That's edibles, not smokables. Is that what you're getting to? That's what CBD.
Yeah. Oh yeah. CBD doesn't have THC or anything like that. It doesn't have any kind of. It doesn't have the any of the powerful effects of marijuana.
Oh, that's no fun. Okay, and what's the black guys? That's illegal?
Well, fully illegal is the orange, and as you can see, they are obviously in the minority now.
Orange.
And
You mean that's
you've
totally
got
illegal?
South Carolina, fully illegal, everything. No CBD,
illegal. Yeah.
oils, or anything like that. No
Idaho,
medical marijuana, nothing. Fully
Wyoming.
illegal. We got Kansas. So we got
Kansas.
South Carolina,
Oh, yeah.
Kansas, Wyoming, and Idaho, and that's it. Just those 4 states. They're the last ones left that are fully illegal. Everyone else is on the way to...
Now, look at that. Look at all that black. Montana,
Really, legalization.
Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, whatever's north of Arizona, Colorado? No. Yeah. Look at all that stuff in these. Now, you see, that goes back to... That's a lot of states. There's a lot of people live in them states, man. You know?
Yeah, medical...
Like
Utah, I would imagine they'll eventually be fully legalized. I mean, they're surrounded
Utah's
by, except for
confused.
north here, but yeah. I mean, you've got the Mormons, and maybe that's the Mormons that are preventing that full
They don't
legalization.
even drink
but,
coffee. They don't even drink coffee, man.
New Hampshire, I thought was fully legalized, but according to this map, they are just medical marijuana only. I mean, medical marijuana. So they're right in the middle there. But I think you're going to see. I mean, these 4 states are not. These 4 states are not going to be able to hold out with fully illegal. I mean,
in Alaska's legal. I just want to point out
at, medical.
Just a quick point out.
Medical and decriminalized Hawaii.
Quick point out. Some of these states are red states. Alaska is a red state. Montana is definitely a red state. So it's not just a bunch of hippie, liberal, wokey people that are into legal pot, my friends. You know, obviously, the stronghold of anti-marijuana is definitely with those southern states and the Midwest. But I think somebody should be running with a campaign issue. Did Trudeau, little skateboard Justin, really good when he was campaigning, when he came out and said, I'm going to legalize pot. I think it might have got him the friggin' job. It was a tight race. It was like 6-7 years ago. Okay. That's really good.
But it's interesting you see how it's progressed. I mean, they go from fully legal to the CBD oil only, which is basically no THC. It's very mild. And actually, New York City there were a lot of places, a lot of convenience stores, the bodegos doing CBD oil. But then they started cracking down. But then eventually it became fully legal. But there's that progression in the U.S. It goes from fully legal to testing, implementing CBD oil to decriminalized to medical and decriminalized, and then finally legalized. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I guess around there. It's probably around 17 states. Yeah, in Alaska too.
It's pushing half the country. Half the states have legalized it, my friend, and a little bunch of them quasi-legalized it. And the holdout states are the usual suspects. Texas, even Florida loosened up. Well, medical anyway. All right, what else you got? What's next on the hit list?
Just some more maps. I think this one's pretty basic. I wanted to check out this one. This is actually a similar map.
Mm-hmm. That first map was really good. Very graphic.
What is... Like the same. It doesn't state what the silver is or gray. That's strange. But as you can see with the maps, it's the
East Coast, West Coast.
This is also a really interesting list here. You can see The amount of marijuana you can have on your possession. In Alaska, you can have 1 ounce. Arizona, 2.5. Arkansas, 2.5. I don't know what's going on with Alabama. It says possession limit up to 70 daily dosages. I have no idea what that means. daily, up to 70 daily dosages. That's.
Okay, well, Alabama, I think it has a separate language. I think it has like terms that aren't usually used in other places. Okay, well, we better move on here. What else you got?
Well, there was a link. I don't know if you want to go over it from a Canadian YouTube video on
the mushrooms.
Yeah,
the city of Vancouver.
You got the mushroom one?
Yeah.
Now, what the heck? It's only 2 minutes, but I've been in this store, and they're like, you can buy peyote plants and all kinds of stuff, but essentially, it's saying that the cops just
buying
don't
magic mushrooms can
really
be as
care how
easy
long
as
this is.
ordering your morning cup of coffee.
You can actually get 10 capsules of the 100 milligrams as well.
Around the city, shops are popping
Oh,
up.
just 2 minutes.
Downtown, on
Yeah, it's
Commercial
only 2 minutes
Drive, and here on the edge of the downtown
Vancouver,
east
British
side,
Columbia.
where this shop makes no attempt at hiding the products it offers.
I was heavily involved in cannabis dispensaries and building the cannabis movement in Vancouver and across Canada. And I see the psychedelics and mushrooms in particular really being the next step of that process.
Larson is no stranger to bending the law in the name of drug reform.
We kind of operate in this gray area, and I hope to turn that gray area into a lighter and lighter shade of gray. And hopefully, in the next few years, we see a change in the laws around psilocybin mushrooms.
Magic mushrooms are a controlled substance. So how can these shops operate? For the VPD, it comes down to having bigger fish to fry. Though psilocybin is illegal and people could face charges, the VPD says it's focused on organized crime and the trafficking of opioids. While the city says it will not hand out business license for mushroom dispensaries. But so far, that hasn't been a problem for Larson.
We do have a business license that was granted by the city, and they were aware of what we're selling when they granted that license.
Advocates say there are a lot of Canadians interested in trying psilocybin for its therapeutic benefits.
The demand.
All right, we're moving on.
That's enough.
To the
Yeah,
next.
but I
We're
just-
going to move on to the next topic. But
I'm glad you played that, though, because, I mean, it just shows you, like, everything's so much more fluid up here. There's less of us. It's a more cohesive society. It tends to be more logical, not to put down the United States, of course. Wouldn't want to be doing that. But, yeah, kind of cute. So you want to go to social media now, or?
Yeah, we've got, I have a bunch of links.
Okay, but as a precursor, like I said at the top of the show, we got to make this really quick. It's a huge subject. We're going to go deep on it next week, but we only got about a half hour left in the show, and we got some very strange, bizarre we need to cover.
Well, just, we'll do this one article here. What are the fastest growing social media channels? I mean, I'm working on a separate post on the variant-news.com site. It's going to list all the social media platforms we're aware of, who owns them, brief descriptions, some pertinent details, so that anybody can just come in and quickly get a good overview of everything.
But you got so many. There's so many of them.
This is from browsermedia.agency. So all channels have seen an increase. However, unsurprisingly, it is TikTok that takes the crown of the fastest growing social media channel in 2022.
Yeah.
Of the 30,000 participants, 40% state that they plan to use TikTok in 2022 as part of their social media strategy. Short-form video content continues to be one of the top social media trends, and as a result, more brands are starting to jump onto the TikTok bandwagon. Now, I believe TikTok has increased the amount of the length of videos that you can post on TikTok. I think it's getting up there to where I think it. Let me just check real quick. TikTok. Video length now supported.
Yeah, TikTok.
Because it's a pretty, 10 minutes. Users can now upload videos up to 10 minutes long. I think you can only, before that was only like 3 minutes maybe. So
Yeah.
now they're doing 10 minutes. That's really going to change the platform.
Well, they're a big player, man. I'm just looking at this from the next article, but TikTok was launched in 2016 by Chinese startup ByteDance. Um, okay, at this point, September 2021, TikTok reported 1 billion monthly active users. Whoa! Are they still owned by the Chinese, or do you know?
Yeah, ByteDance has operations in the United States, but it's fully controlled. There's no doubt by the CCP. It has direct links. All that data on TikTok is getting data mined by the CCP.
We're going to go into all that on the next show.
But
for sure.
really, it's about short videos. Because YouTube's been doing short. They've had 29% growth according to this article. LinkedIn 28%, Instagram 32%.
Yeah. Wow.
Instagram has a short video format. So they really are. That's gonna be pushed on these platforms for some time to come.
Yeah.
It really is. It could sound just. Like with Twitter posts, they're really short and concise, too concise.
Well, okay.
It's the same thing.
I have a background in sales
growth.
I'll add to that just a little bit. But I've got a background in sales, and so I was trained in media production. And they said if you can say it in 15 seconds, don't buy a 30-second commercial. In other words, short is good. And it's harder to produce a short, by the way. But yeah, and I think that's what, people just really want it quick. I mean, we subject people to an hour and a half of the Canuck and Yankee show, but I make videos and they want the video to be like 15 seconds or 10 seconds. Crazy. Okay, go on. Sorry.
So here's you've got the most used social media channels. Facebook at number 1, then Twitter, Instagram is at. Well, actually, Instagram is third. They don't list this sequentially, but whatever. You've got TikTok at 16%, Snapchat 6%, LinkedIn at 88%, which I didn't realize was that popular. Pinterest at 13%, YouTube at 74%, and then once you go through these major players, the rest of them just have a very small percentage, like Twitch, Jodel, which I don't think a lot of people even heard of, Sina, Weibo, which is CCP. That's another thing. We're definitely going to try to cover as much China-based social media as we can in the coverage.
The big issue, other than people's personal viewing habits, is the data mining, which they're all data mining the heck out of everything. Facebook definitely is reported. And Facebook has really close to 3 billion monthly active users as January 2022, as of this year. Like 2,912 billion, 2.912 billion. Whoa. And now they're off into the metaverse.
But I think long term you're going to see this number for TikTok 60%. That's going to go way up. I think it's going to be 30, 40, 50. Yeah. I think it's going to do well in the next 5-10 years. Could steal a lot of Facebook traffic. Facebook's going to go down. They for the first time ever recently they lost their user base went down for the first time ever in their history.
Yeah, not a big percentage, but when you're starting with 3 billion and you lose 5%, that's
I think
millions of users.
Yeah, overall Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're all going to be going down as TikTok goes up. And
or
also,
it could be additive. It could just be additive too, like we've noticed in the media business. And books were added to by radio, radio is added to by TV. None of these things have gone away. Or movies.
And I think you're definitely going to see. Well, you're going to see an implosion of NFTs. NFT market is going to just completely implode and then rebuild itself from the ground up. But we're going to have more news on that in future streams. Yeah. But I think you're going to see the rise of Web3, IPFS, which is censor-proof, NFTs, stuff like that, and they're going to start replacing Twitter. They're going to start replacing Facebook.
For a lot of people,
it's gonna happen slowly at first, but I think down the road in the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be some kind of explosion with IPFS where it really starts taking
the technology
market
catches
share
up
away from these big players here.
I think the older users are going to stick with Facebook and stuff like that, but your younger users with more savvy internet orientation, they're going to gravitate towards the newer platforms. And everybody starts out being young and then they get old. It happens, there's a new crop coming along, and the new crop is probably going to adopt these things. And given the choice, younger people are not going to Facebook, they are going to TikTok. But Facebook is a social media platform like local, user groups like I'm on, that tell us about the weather conditions and who's playing at the bar and stuff. I don't think that's going to go away, but the more sophisticated user, I agree. Okay, doke.
All right. I guess, we go to Bizarro.
Well, we might as well, because we are going to go in to the really, really, really deep end on this, folks. And it's going to take some research. If you got any thoughts on social media, the use of social media, the abuse of social media, where social media is at, who owns it, and what's going on, let us know. We'll include it in the show. And if you're an expert, we'll get you on the show. And we'll get you on the show anyway. I don't care. I just sit here.
We've only got 2 Bizarro stories. We'll start off with Ukrainian farmers towing Russian military vehicles.
Now, it's a tragedy what's happening in the country of Ukraine. And the only reason I suggest we show this is somehow they're making a good time out of it. These guys seem relatively happy about, and it's kind of odd visual of a $50,000 tractor hauling a $500,000 tank away because it ran out of gas or something, and apparently they can keep it. The government says you can just keep the darn thing. Or they're giving a lot of them back to the Ukrainian military, and now they're using them again. So okay. Bizarro 1 of 2.
All right, so we're going to do this video.
The second one.
We'll do this video here.
Yeah, and folks, don't tune out yet. We've got the biggest Bizarro story in history coming up.
Это хит на технику. Наши тянут БТР до дому во двор, бо металл в цене будет. Вода слита, кстати. Видал, нет? Так они работают. Хорошая штука по дровам в лесу.
So this is a pretty big compilation from across Ukraine, it looks like, of tractors towing Russian military vehicles. Very bizarre.
Yeah, apparently it's fairly common. They either run out of gas and the soldiers just split. So these guys are just coming across this.
They're using 2 tractors, 2 little tractors.
Yeah.
To tow that one vehicle. Yeah, they're doing that again. 2 tractors towed together.
Well, those things are heavy. Armored vehicles. They're having such a good time, though. Look at they're smiling. Have a great day.
But to get to the real Bizarro, obviously this next story, severe viewer discretion is advised.
Now listen.
Actually, don't even watch it. This is extremely disturbing.
All right, listen. I have to apologize. I found this And
Well, you
I
should
was
apologize because this is just wrong.
Are we going to play the clip that you got, or of the phone call?
Oh, you know what? What did I do? I put the. Oh my God. Let me see. Well, let's gonna have to
roll
clean
this
up
first. You can
Let's
find
do
it
the
when we're
world.
rolling this.
This is the latest you found. World News Daily Report. Okay.
Yeah.
Indiana egg farmer transported to the hospital with a live adult chicken stuck in his rectal cavity.
We aren't making this up.
I actually did a lot of research on this.
Yeah, you
to
did.
try to verify
We spent 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah,
we
at
spent
least.
2 hours together on a meeting, and I spent some more time. And only 2 people have covered it.
I had issues with this image of this person in a hospital bed with their face blurred out. Did a Google reverse image, and the very last image to come back in the search was the face was not blurred, and I zoomed in. It was a woman. So, they put this article together. They kind of just threw some stock photo of actually a woman in a hospital bed and then blurred the face so you couldn't tell. It's just very bizarre. Everything about this is bizarre.
No, it's all weird. And we tried to verify it. We actually called the hospital. But all right. What else? I mean, just read the article and we'll pretend it's true.
Around 11:30 last night, Shelby County paramedics were called to answer a medical emergency concerning a serious accident involving a farm animal, something rather frequent in this rural area. Okay? They state that this happens rather frequently in this rural area. Accidents with farm animals. Upon arriving on the site, they found a 57-year-old Christopher Adams inebriated, bloodied, and naked on a henhouse floor with a loudly clucking 5-pound chicken sticking out of his rectum. The paramedics briefly tried to remove the agitated bird from its uncomfortable position, but to no avail, and decided to transport Mr. Adams and the bird to the MHP Major Hospital. This is the hospital I called.
Yeah,
I did some follow-up here.
Yeah, we did.
And I actually called the hospital yesterday. Now, according to Dr. Aurelius Thomas, who extracted the bird after an extremely delicate 7-hour surgical intervention, both the man and the animal would have died if they had waited longer.
Yeah, 7 hours. 7-hour surgery, people.
The bird was dying of suffocation when it got here. It had already badly lacerated the patient's bowels in a desperate attempt to get out, and it was still gashing at it like crazy. The hen was finally extracted around 7:30 a.m. this morning, suffering only minor physical injuries from its ordeal, while Mr. Adams necessitated 7 blood transfusions and more than 780 stitches. Dr. Thomas says it's a miracle that both the farmer and his animal are still alive, and questioned what caused the bird to get stuck in there.
That's a question. That is a big question. Yep.
I don't really know how the bird got there, the doctor says. Both getting it out was so complicated and damaged that I can't imagine that getting it in could have been any fun either.
This can't be true.
Dr. Thomas, who extracted the hand from Mr. Adams' rectal cavity, says it's a miracle. They're both alive, man and bird. Mr. Adams hasn't regained consciousness yet to explain this version, but the Shelby County Sheriff's Department and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals have both launched investigations on the incident. Important, the ASPCA has taken the hen in custody for the duration of its investigation and will treat it for any possible symptoms of post-traumatic syndrome. Now, I tried calling the ASPCA in Shelby, County of Shelby, which is basically Shelbyville.
Yep.
No one was open, but I may try reaching out to them. Indiana.
Yeah.
I may try reaching out to them.
Indiana, right.
Monday.
Yep.
And give me a second here.
I'll give you all the time you need for this.
I could pull in the call that I made, which I think is pretty pretty informative.
Well, I think so.
Let me go into. Let me see if I can.
Listen, we went in. We're going in deep on this. No pun intended.
let's see, 5814. Let me just make sure this is the right video. Oh, 5814. All right. Yeah, this is it. All right, so it was done really quick. I did it off the cuff.
You did a great job.
I did a local recording only to OBS. But let me get this loaded here. Okay.
It's a very exclusive, people. We got an exclusive for you.
Let me get rid of the YouTube. Here it is. So, is this the only hospital for all of Shelbyville? I gotta format this. There's kind of
There are no other
emergency
units? There are no other emergency units in this county, just us.
All right, but I'm just going to do
Variant News.
a real
There
quick
was a report
touch-up here. I'm going to do an edit transform.
Start from the top.
I'm going to take that came to the emergency room recently. Of the top here, all right?
All right, not here, no.
Yeah, no? Unfortunately, so this
no,
is
not
a
in
local
Shelbyville,
movie.
no.
I'm going to have to do this.
Okay.
I'm going to have to do
All
local
right.
file. But this is the only hospital that and for all of Shelbyville. Speed.
In Shelbyville, Indiana, yes.
So is this the only hospital for all of Shelbyville? I think there's an issue
Yes, it is.
So is this the only hospital for all of Shelbyville?
Play it from the top.
Yes, it is.
I'm not actually hearing it. There are no other emergency units?
I am. I'm listening to G-Live.
There are no other emergency units in this county, just us.
All right, but I'm calling from
Variant
News.
It's perfect. Be quiet.
There was a report of a egg farmer that came to the emergency room recently.
Not here, no.
No?
No, not in Shelbyville, no.
Okay, all right. But this is the only hospital that for all of Shelbyville.
In Shelbyville, Indiana, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Whoa.
Did you hear that? Could you hear her?
Yeah, I couldn't hear her, but I heard you. That's hard hitting.
So really weird. All right,
Yeah, but okay. I think she verified it because she said no, not here, but she didn't say, oh no, that's a fake rumor.
Right. Well, there's HIPAA laws. You can't you can't.
No, she
they're not
can't
going to
admit it.
reveal. They're not going to reveal that. But it sounded like
She knew what you were talking about, man.
It sounded like she knew what I was talking about. But we are. I'm going to try to get a hold of the ASPCA because it's an extremely disturbing story, especially for the chicken, for the hen. And I'm concerned for its well-being. Its future well-being.
I really think we got to start a GoFundMe account for the chicken.
Right.
I think we.
Yeah, it's going to need.
I mean, the guy
years of
guy
therapy.
is under investigation by the Shelby County Sheriff, the ASPCA. His medical bills are going to be insane, like $500,000 in medical bills.
Well, I'd like to get an interview with Christopher Adams. Right? Is that the last name, Adams? We'll see if we can get an exclusive because
I think we stand a better chance of getting an interview with the
according
chicken.
to the article, they were stating he was still unconscious.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to this guy. He might die. But the chicken, dude, like, all right, we got to start a GoFundMe thing to get proper therapy for the chicken so it can survive the post-traumatic stress that the ASPCA is concerned about.
Right.
So I'm the chicken advocate, or we're going to be the chicken advocates, and I'll get in touch with PETA. PETA bread, like don't eat animals and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that now this guy.
Yeah.
If that's a real picture of him, even if it's a her, but I think it's a him, I think he must have sat on the chicken. And the chicken couldn't get out because he's a big fat guy, right? And it couldn't get out, so it ran up his butthole. I don't know.
Right.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah,
Listen,
right. Well, I mean,
I
tried to find out a little more about Christopher Adams. I did find an inner circle. I reached out to an individual, but
we know who his mother is.
I reached out to I reached out to a neighbor of Christopher Adams.
Facebook
on social media, but I have not heard back. It's been almost 24 hours. We're close to 24 hours. No response. But I have possible additional contacts. So it's interesting, the investigative reporting, the vital investigative reporting we've done on this story. I think, we should definitely look into additional future bizarros. Like the aspect of so many bizarres taking place at Dairy Queen. We could do some serious investigative journalism on that. That would be a major story. We could crack the case on that,
Listen, this is our first, Yankee. This is our first exclusive story. Practically, we're doing more investigative journalism on the chicken incident than any other broadcaster, and I think we got to take it on, follow it up. CNN is not covering it.
Right.
NBC, New York Times.
Right.
Not even Esquire, not Esquire, but what's the rag that
National Enquirer?
Yeah, they're not even covering it.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, I mean, this story, this could be picked. It hasn't happened yet, but we got to be on the lookout. Could this get picked up by the late night show comedians? It's a perfect story for them. They pick up a lot of stories like this, but
it's too much.
Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's too much for the. It's too much for the hand. It's too much for everybody involved.
It brings up all kinds of imagery, right? Chickens.
Over 700 stitches. That alone graphically is just not right.
Well, we're going to investigate everything, including how much the guy's medical bill is, charges that'll be laid, and also a follow-up on the chicken. I mean, I think there should be a 24-hour camera on the chicken,
right?
So we can see how the chicken's doing.
Yeah. I mean,
listen,
everybody's worried about Ukraine, this and that. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this chicken.
And post-traumatic stress syndrome. I've know people that have gone through that.
Yeah, that's serious stuff, especially for a chicken.
Yeah, chickens. Listen, chickens it's an egg farm. Chicken was just wanted to lay some eggs, go through life, living in this barn.
So basically, I'm gonna remind me. I got to take now that TikTok supports a whopping 10-minute video uploads. I should just take this whole segment, cut it out of the stream, and uploaded it up to TikTok because it's absolutely perfect for TikTok.
No, we got to do it.
And let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens
with your background and our in-depth coverage. No, let's try it. We got to get noticed here.
Yeah.
We've been covering all the really important stuff. China.
Right.
Political conflicts.
Right.
Like, we didn't cover COVID. We didn't cover Trump because everybody else is. But but it's about time. Come on. All right, put it on TikTok.
But that's the show. I mean, I'm sorry we had to end with such a a powerful story at the end with this bizarre.
I think it puts everything that's happening in the world into perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the stuff, all the complicated stuff. It puts this as something that I think everybody can relate to.
Right.
A chicken up a farmer's rectal cavity, to quote the article.
Rectal cavity, according to the article. Allegedly.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think I need some Oxycontin
now. But, everybody's going to need something. People, please,
God bless you.
take care of yourselves.
Yeah, happy
Be
spring.
safe.
First day of spring. First day of spring.
Mazo Mass asked, did he survive?
As far as we know, he's still alive.
I don't know. As far as we know, he's still alive, but they're stating he's still unconscious. So we're going to follow up for everybody. I know that everybody's concerned. We're going to follow up on this story.
If anybody out there knows anybody in Shelbyville, Indiana, we're looking for the inside. I mean, we researched it. We're pretty sure we know who his mother is. We're not going to bother her. But Yankee's going to call the ASPCA tomorrow, and we'll keep you posted. We might even have to do a special on it in the middle of the week in case there's something late breaking, no pun intended.
All right.
I'm not going to have chicken for dinner tonight, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably not a good idea. All right, so that's the show. We'll be back on with the Canuck and Yankee next Sunday, starting 4 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, crypto. I'm gonna have a Cryptopia show. I'm not sure when. This early part of the week is really hectic for me right now, but there will be a Cryptopia show sometime during the week. So please be on the lookout for that. And I'll update you on everything that is crypto. And all right, we're going to sign off. Canuck, do you have any final words?
No, but we got some upcoming things, and we're there for you. We love doing this show. We've been on the air for since last July, and we're working on a bunch of other things. But we're always looking for new ideas for both the Canuck and Yankee show, but also we're going to be doing a lot of other shows. We're hoping to go 24/7 with at least one channel, maybe two, in this calendar year. So lots of good things, and shout out to all the people that are going through everything that they're going through in the Republic of Ukraine. And I'm not going to give my editorial comment on that at this point, but war is hell, and it's usually hell on the civilians that have nothing to do with it. So God bless. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Thoughts go out to Ukraine and that volatile situation. And that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody, for your support. Thank you to Mazo Mass and to Sour D for the lemons and your support. Greatly appreciated. And we'll see everybody on the other side.
Peace.
My tree.